What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 4 of Rebel Roundtable, the first official podcast of Rebel Sports Network here at UNLV. I'm your host, Maile Palacios, here with my co-host, Thomas Gabo.
Yep.
We are here with a very special guest, Kyle Sparrow. He is a UNLV hockey expert, but he can also chime in on MLB and NFL. Hi, Kyle.
Hello. Nice of you to invite me onto your podcast. I wouldn't say I'm a UNLV hockey expert. I'd more consider myself a sports expert, but I'm here to talk about sports with y'all. Let's run it.
So we will be starting off with MLB and then going into a weekend recap of the NFL, and we'll be talking a little bit about college football and the rankings from this past week, as well as UNLV athletics, UNLV football, and then of course ending with our UNLV hockey. But for starters, we'll be going into MLB. So Monday was the game 1 between the Dodgers and the Brewers, where Blake Snell pitched 8 one-hit innings with 10 strikeouts. Freddie Freeman also hit a solo home run, and the Brewers had bases loaded in the 9th inning, but could not tie it. Did you guys watch any of the Dodgers games?
I did. Their starters, they go 8 innings, and they just set their closer up, Roki Sasaki, up perfectly.
Yeah, I feel like the thing with with the Dodgers specifically is that their bullpen is easy to crack. Their starters, not so much. So when they get into these starters who go 8 innings, you're already done when a starter goes 8 innings. Like, that's actually crazy. But then we'll be going into game 2, which was also Monday, between the Mariners and the Blue Jays, where the Mariners had 10 runs and the Blue Jays had 3. Julio Rodriguez and Polanco both hit 3-run bombs, and Josh Naylor added a 2-run home run. And then from those 2 performances, game 1 and 2 of Mariners versus Blue Jays, I thought the Mariners kind of had it in the bag. And we'll see later that they did not. Tuesday was game 2 of Dodgers with 5 versus Brewers with 1. Yoshinobu Yamamoto threw a complete game. So same story of these starters going absolutely insane. I think that's where, if they were to bring in the bullpen, that's where it's easier to crack. But they couldn't even get past the starters. So they only allowed 1 run. Teoscar Hernandez and Max Muncy both homered. Wednesday was game 3, Blue Jays 13 versus Mariners 4. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. went 4 for 4 with a home run. He's crazy.
It's crazy.
Again, he's terrorizing the Mariners, bro.
Yeah, he's probably the most reliable player for the Blue Jays. And I don't know what happened the first 2 games. I don't have the exact statistics on what he did the first 2 games. But you can always rely on a Guerrero stat when it comes to the Blue Jays winning. He always plays like one of the biggest parts in that. But then Thursday was game 3, Dodgers 3 to Brewers 1. Tyler Glasnow dominated, and Tommy Edman hit a go-ahead RBI single. And at this point, the Brewers' top 6 hitters went 1 for 22.
Yeah, that ain't it.
Yeah,
That's just not it.
1 of 22, bro.
The top 6 hitters.
Oh my goodness, that's bad.
Yeah, so we'll get into that about game 4, which is another crazy stat, but I digress. We'll get there in a minute. Game 4 of the Blue Jays and Mariners, it was 8-2 Blue Jays. Max Scherzer turned back the clock with 5 2/3 strong innings. And again, Guerrero Jr. and others powered through the offense. And Friday, game 4, Dodgers win 5-1, and that sends them to the World Series for the 2nd year in a row. But Shohei Ohtani,
That dude is. I watched that game. I don't like. Yes, I don't watch baseball a lot. That was one of, if not the most insane things I've ever seen.
You couldn't miss it. I mean, it was everywhere. 3 of 3, 3 home runs, and then go out there and pitch 10 strikeouts. Unreal.
6 scoreless innings. That's definitely going to be going down as one of... It's already been talked about that Shohei Ohtani is one of, if not the best player in MLB history. That game alone is going to stand out the most, I believe. We're in the postseason. We have one of the few pitcher power hitters. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, in the biggest moments, he shows up. And that's kind of the story that's been of this postseason, you know? You look at that performance and you're like, oh, yeah, like, if any other player did it, Yeah, but it's in the postseason. It's in the championship series nonetheless. Just an insane thing, and probably the most amazing thing I've seen in baseball.
It's the fact that he's leading off, striking out 3 or striking out 2. Then it's like, oh snap, I got a lead off hit now.
Let's just hit a homer.
Yeah,
Got
exactly.
all the equipment on him. Got
exactly.
That stuff. And
That
bro's just dialed in as soon as he goes up to bat.
Yeah. So how do you feel being, one half of your teams is in the World Series?
I mean, obviously, I'm really excited. It was gonna be like regardless of who won, half my teams were gonna make it. Which I'm pretty lucky in that sense. But honestly, there's a lot of talk about if the Dodgers win, is that the end of MLB? Have you guys seen anything about that?
I have, just because there's the argument that that you pay to win basically, and I think that obviously it is something that needs to be talked about, because the Dodgers they have the most money. They are the biggest market. LA is a big, like one of, if not the biggest sports market. But at the same time, if you're going to have people talking about it, then the MLB is going to have to be like, okay, we need to kind of like go through and set rules, if you will.
Right.
Like, just because in reality, yes, it's fun to watch. Like, yes. And obviously I'm not taking that away from any of the Dodgers players, because they played insane, shutting out the Mariners, or shutting out the Brewers, sorry. But I do think it needs to be talked about, because it kind of just you don't like to say the pay to win aspect. You just don't want to see it. You want to see teams like I always root for the underdog, and it's just fun to see the underdog win.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's kind of gets lost in all of it.
Right. There's more headlines and stuff, especially when underdogs win. I talked about it a couple weeks ago. Everybody loves a good underdog story, and with the Dodgers, we know that they're gonna be good each and every year, because they do have $1 billion payroll, and it's tough for small market teams to try and compete with that.
Yeah, well, then you can also say the same thing about the Mets also having one of the biggest payrolls. They just didn't utilize it, I guess.
Well, they just suck.
But there also is an aspect the Dodgers have that they paid. You could say they paid the right players pretty much, because they're in the World Series this year. They won the World Series last year. But to your point about the headlines, let's say, okay, yes, the Dodgers are in the World Series, but let's say another, like either the Blue Jays or the Mariners were to beat them in the World Series. That would be, no matter who goes into that World Series game, they're going to be underdogs.
Right.
No matter who it is. And I think it just creates kind of a historic storyline, if you will, because one of, if not the best team that we've kind of ever seen, versus like one of the biggest underdogs in the World Series that we've seen.
Well, here's my thing with that, is that the Dodgers get a lot of criticism for this, because they do end up paying players a lot. But I mean, specifically with Ohtani, the Giants also came out with a $700 million contract. So these teams have the money. And if you look at a rundown, so many teams, they have high payrolls. The Brewers, I know, have a higher payroll, but they don't. The billionaires that run these teams don't utilize that payroll. They don't spend the money. They don't. I mean, again, the Brewers, they're considered a smaller market team. They have the money. They just don't spend it. And even without spending it, they've gotten to the NLCS. So we can't necessarily say like, oh, you're paying to win. They didn't pay to win. They just won and then got stopped by a team that is paying. So I really don't think you can't have the talk of a salary cap without having to talk about a salary floor, forcing these billionaires to spend the money that they have for their teams. But they kind of come with each other. You can't have one without the other, I don't think.
I 100% agree with you, because it's always been kind of a point of emphasis on the salary cap in the MLB, because I know all the other major sports have it. But you made a really good point, the salary floor, because it inspires these teams to kind of, say, hey, your fan base is supporting you. Let's kind of raise the money, and then let's do it, because you look at the smaller market teams or the less funding teams. It's kind of not that good to see, because you have the same teams in the playoffs. You have the same story each postseason, and it's kind of like you want to see those like 1 in a million chances or shots go into the postseason.
Right. I think if you're gonna own an MLB team or any franchise, you have to spend money. That's
Yeah.
what's gonna make you more money.
And
So
then you can't get mad at losing if you're not spending the money.
right. The Pittsburgh Pirates, Bob Nutting, dude, you gotta spend some money this offseason, dog, because we've sucked for so long. Please, save us.
Save us. Save us.
Well, on that note, the Mariners and the Blue Jays also played on Friday. The Mariners, they won 6-2. Cal Raleigh tied it with a solo home run, and then Eugenio Suarez hit a grand slam. It's his blowout. His hair is saving them this season, I think.
I don't know what happened because I was someplace and then I turned the game on. I see Cal Raleigh hit the solo home run and I'm like, okay, it's 2-2 in the bottom of like the 6th inning or something like that. Then I go take a break. I swear like 10 minutes, and then I turn the score back on, or I turn the game back on, and it's 6-2. I was like, huh? And then I saw a clip of the grand slam and I was like, there you go.
You missed
Yeah.
it.
I was like, are you serious?
So at this point, the Mariners are now leading the Blue Jays 3-2 until Sunday with Game 6. The Blue Jays then came back again with the exact same score, switched. Blue Jays 6 to Mariners 2. Rookie Trey Yesavage, I believe, struck out 7. Guerrero Jr., again, he's always in the stat when they win. And Addison Barger homered. And then Toronto has forced a Game 7. We are recording this on a Monday, so the game will be taking place tonight at, I believe, 5:10?
508.
5:08?
Mhm.
Is it at, it's at the
Still
Blue
in
Jays?
Toronto.
It's in
Yeah.
Toronto? Okay.
So it might be hard for the Mariners to come through that, being in the Blue Jays stadium, being surrounded by the Blue Jays support. But I don't know. They've done it before. I can't really make a prediction on this one because the scores have been so varied. Okay, let's go through this. Mariners 10-3, Blue Jays 13-4, Blue Jays 8-2, Mariners 6-2, Blue Jays 6-2.
I mean, you're talking like a +4 and up
Yeah.
each score. So that's kind of, I agree with you. It's kind of really hard to predict.
Yeah, we're just getting good baseball. I know John Schneider, he got real emotional when George Springer got hurt in Seattle, and he said that the fans were cheering it on, that he got hurt. But I don't think the fans would necessarily cheer that on. Nobody wants to see that. But, I mean, they went back to Toronto fired up, and, yeah, that's why they're tied right now.
It was a bad, I heard, on the broadcast, you could hear the sound. It goes right off of his knee.
Yeah.
You could hear the sound. They replayed and was like, for your audio listeners, cover your ears. It sounded like it was bad.
And
It
he
was
played yesterday. I mean, he's one of their best players, so it's going to take a lot for him to not play.
Yeah.
Especially for
Well, predictions aside, who do you guys want to move on?
Blue Jays.
probably Toronto. I don't know. The Mariners got a good story. They haven't made the World Series at all in their franchise history.
Yeah.
That would be something. Toronto's won a little bit.
Aren't both of these teams technically
Smaller market.
yeah, but aren't they quote unquote the underdogs? I know
Yes.
the Mariners are big time underdogs, but would you consider both teams underdogs?
Well, whoever plays the Dodgers is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I believe on last week's episode we talked about there was a prediction of early exit teams, and it was the Dodgers, the Brewers, the Blue Jays, and the Mariners. So
Wow.
you got all 4 teams that were in the championship series. I'm not calling the Dodgers underdogs in any way, but for those teams to be considered early exit and then those be the teams that moved on, I do think that honestly, either way, if Blue Jays or Mariners, whoever wins, it'll be a good game. Tonight's game is going to be amazing. And I don't know what to say about Friday moving forward because they are playing the Dodgers.
Yeah, your team.
Yeah.
It should be good baseball nonetheless.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a team that kind of just, I don't want to say cruise their way, but you kind of have a team that, is the best. And then you have a team kind of fought their way to it. And you have essentially David versus Goliath. I don't think there's a more perfect analogy than that you can use. So it's going to be a good series no matter who's in the World Series with the Dodgers. And I can't wait.
Yeah, me either. But now we'll be moving on to NFL weekend recaps, starting with the Steelers.
Yeah, let's hear the Steelers fans' POV of the unction, the icy hot bowl. Just what were your thoughts on that game?
It was good football, really. They were up 10-0. And then I stopped watching, and then they choked that lead away. But
So what we're hearing is you need to keep watching for them to win.
literally,
I
I
don't
think
even
I need
think.
to watch the whole game.
But, you kind of look at the Bengals in that game. No one kind of credited Joe Flacco, I think, at all.
Mm-mm.
And everyone was like, oh, Steelers are going to win. I think maybe a couple people picked on the Bengals to win that game. But, you're still forgetting the fact that they have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, who are kind of starting to go up. Yes, they don't have Joe Burrow, but at the same time, they still have one of, if not the best, like arguably, no, not arguably, top 3 wide receiver, top 5 wide receiver core, I would say, in the NFL right now. And you just can't discredit them at all.
Yeah.
Right, especially when you have, Joe Flacco, he's used to these situations. But, yeah, I mean, for Cleveland to go ahead and just, ship him off to a division opponent, that was not smart in the slightest.
Jamar Chase clutched up for my fantasy team. Oh,
Yes.
my goodness.
Yes,
He
yes,
had,
he did.
38 points?
38 and a half.
Just redonkulous.
But, yeah, I mean, they sit at 4-2 now. Steelers got a tough schedule coming up. But, hopefully they can make the playoffs. Probably lose in the wild card like they always do, but that's all right.
Well, you were saying that a lot of people kind of just expected the Steelers to win. Did you expect this outcome, or did you?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, obviously you want your team to win, but yeah, you want your team to come out, play hard, do all this stuff right. So when they're not doing it right, and then they, choke that lead away,
Yeah.
it's like, dude, what the heck?
I fully thought the Steelers were going to win, too.
Yeah.
Because I didn't believe in the Joe Flacco trade at all.
Right.
But I did discredit my wide receiver 1 in fantasy, Jamar Chase, who
Right.
no matter who you put on him, whether it's Jalen Ramsey, whether it's just anyone else on that team, he just finds ways to get open and just yards after catch, just all 3 phases of
Right.
wide receiver game, he's just on top of it.
Yeah, and Jamar Chase said in an interview, he's like, yeah, we knew what the Steelers were doing. So, I mean, just to get open and, do that, have that connection with Flacco, being there, 11 days or something, getting on the same page, yeah.
Yeah.
Recipe for success.
Well, moving on to the Bears versus the Saints. The Bears won 26-14, and then the Dolphins played the Browns, and the Browns won 27-10. Did you guys watch either of those games?
I mean, you kind of expected the Bears to win.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was very questionable was the Dolphins versus Browns game.
Yes.
Obviously we just talked about Joe Flacco leaving. Dylan Gabriel, the rookie, steps in. Quinshon Judkins had an insane game.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns.
Mhm.
And then you look at the other side,
Tua.
and there's like a dumpster fire in
Yeah.
Right.
Miami right now.
A team that should be significantly better than the Browns, they go out there and literally fart all over the place. Is bad.
I understand you don't have Tyreek Hill, but you still have Devon Achane and Jalen Waddle. You still have more weapons than some teams have in their entire offensive core, and it just on the score sheet and the stat sheet, it just doesn't. You think they have 0 weapons at all?
I'll give them some credit that, it was a rainy game or whatever, but yeah, I mean, Tua is not it. He's quite literally terrible, honestly.
It begs the question, because I saw something today that they're not gonna make any internal moves, and I'm like, why? You have Quinn Ewers as your backup, who I didn't see how he played, but you're already down by a lot at that point, so it's null and void. But why would you not make a decision? Because you're fighting in a tough division. Okay, obviously you have the Jets, who are 0-7 or 6,
Right.
but you also have the Bills and the Patriots, who the Patriots are doing really well. The Bills have obviously done well in that division. You're kind of looking at it like, what do we have to do? And I don't think Mike McDaniel nor Tua is the answer at all.
Yeah.
No, I was very shocked that, Mike McDaniel didn't even get fired right after the game, because it was like you said, a dumpster fire to talk about that game. Yeah.
All right, we're just going to continue on and go through some of the other scores. The Eagles beat the Vikings 28-22. Panthers beat the Jets 13-6. Patriots beat the Titans 31-13. We'll save the Giants versus Broncos. Colts beat the Chargers 38-24. Packers beat the Cardinals 27-23. Cowboys beat the Commanders 44-22. 49ers beat the Falcons 20-10. And then for tonight's games, we have the Buccaneers versus the Lions and the Texans versus the Seahawks. But going back to the Giants versus the Broncos,
I don't even know what to say about that game because I thought I was watching Red Zone and I thought the Broncos were cooked. I literally down, what was it, 18-0?
They were down 19-0.
19-0, and then Bo Nix, again my fantasy goat, had 4 points before their drive. I think midway through or at 10 minutes in the fourth. Ended up with almost 40 points, and they end up coming out on top. I don't know if I'm the Giants. I don't even that extra point. That's inexcusable. You can't miss that extra point.
Right. Well, he missed 2, so he missed the one earlier.
Yeah, I'm saying that one, but
that one's bad.
You can't miss that one.
I'm saying if that kicker makes both those extra points, Broncos going to be forced to score a touchdown.
Exactly.
And, you can't put your team in that situation. And then Jackson Dart came on the interview. He was like, I have to be better. He can't throw that interception late. But in all reality, he played his ass off.
He played a very good game. I think him and Scattervoo had a very good game for what it was. It's just, the defense, the defense kind of just, trailed off. Credit to the Broncos offense. Bo Nix, still very young, and he got the job done. You look at that last drive, and 2 virtually perfect throws that were right on the money, and I'm excited to see what Bo Nix does going on into this season, but tough break for the Giants.
It sucks to say, but it's typical Giants fashion.
You're not wrong.
All right, well, moving on to the Rams versus the Jaguars. The Rams beat the Jaguars 35-7, and Matthew Stafford had a great game. He went 26 of 32 for 312 yards, no turnovers, and a 149.8 passer rating. Did you guys watch that game?
5 passing touchdowns, 3 to Devontae Adams.
And another one of my fantasy goats. I had an insane week on fantasy. I had Devontae Adams, I had Jamar Chase, and I had Bo Nix. I was firing on all cylinders. But more on that game, the Rams somehow managed to do it without arguably their wide receiver 1 in Puka Nacua. And I think, you have Devontae Adams, who is still a very solid wide receiver 2. But I'm shocked that the Jags defense didn't put up a fight. I know Matthew Stafford is low-key him, but obviously Travis Hunter, he didn't play a defensive snap.
No.
And
I don't understand why.
I think that's where your eyes go when you look at that score. Obviously, he did get his first NFL touchdown, but you kind of look at it and be like, okay, he came into the league. We expected him to play both DB and wide receiver. And they beat the Chiefs when he's playing both sides, but then when he goes to offense, they lose in this fashion.
Right. I don't understand that. You picked him at 2 for a reason. He's playing both sides of the ball. But yeah, they were throwing fades up to Devontae Adams on the 1-yard line twice. I forget the defensive back's name for the Jaguars, but they're just out there getting killed. But you need to put your defensive back / wide receiver on defense.
And Devontae Adams, we've seen it. He's one of the best contested catchers that we've seen now in the NFL. And if you have him man on man, and you have a corner who's maybe 3 inches shorter than him, it's you're asking to get mossed.
That's barbecue chicken.
Exactly.
I'm going there. If I'm Matthew Stafford, I'm going there every single time.
He don't even have to look at Tutu out. He doesn't even have to look at his other receivers. If he sees 1-on-1 and the safety's not there, bang. He's throwing to him. Yeah. And bro had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Got me 28 fantasy points off of 7 yards?
Right. I think he had 5 receptions, just over 40 yards.
He didn't even have that
touchdowns.
If you take away the touchdowns, he didn't have a great game, but he still have threatened the red zone,
right.
even at the status he is right now in the NFL.
Well, the Rams with this win are now at 5-2, which is their best start since their Super Bowl run in 2021. But let's get into our Las Vegas game.
Oh boy.
Okay. I'm just gonna say this before you can go. I don't know what the game plan was.
There was none.
I will say this much. The Raiders always kind of contest with the Chiefs every season.
Especially in Arrowhead.
Exactly. And this game, I don't know what happened.
Well, we haven't said the score yet.
It was...
The Chiefs won 31-0.
Yeah.
0.
All right, Thomas. Let's hear it.
Yeah, this was probably the worst game of the morning slate, without a doubt.
Yeah.
The Raiders had 98 yards of total offense, only 4 first downs. They had 3 first downs until the end of the fourth quarter where Kenny Pickett came in and got a first down. But, that basically doesn't count.
Yeah.
But it's just disappointing when you want your football team. Like, I'm not a Raiders fan, but, I want them.
Vegas team.
Right, I want them to come out and do good,
Yeah.
show some love to the city. But they did not in the slightest.
Crosby got injured too, right?
Right, yeah, he got, somebody
Knee.
went for a cut block, and, they took
His
him
knee,
out of the
yeah.
game.
In fairness, they do have, with Crosby being out in that game, or I don't know when he got injured, but, you still have, your top receiver on that team. Yes, I know Brock Bowers is injured. And yes, they all should come back by the end of, their bye week, but 31-0 is...
That's actually inexcusable.
It's kind of like your defense is doing nothing.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think they got past the 50. That's bad.
I mean, and now the crazy thing is I'm seeing people saying, "Oh, the Chiefs are back after this game."
No.
They are back. I'm like, bro,
The Raiders were just gone.
bro. No, I still think yes, the Chiefs. Obviously, you can't discredit them at all. You can't count them out, but don't say after this game that they're back, because they need to be, for example, obviously I'm going to say this because I'm biased, but when they play the Bills, if they beat the Bills, that's okay. Then I'll be like,
Yeah.
Because I'm realistic about my team. I think we're not that good right now. We'll talk about that later. But don't say the Chiefs are back after beating, 2-5 Raiders?
Yeah, now they
Yeah.
sit at 2-5. It's just very disappointing. And Pete Carroll came out and basically defended Geno Smith. Granted, he didn't have Jacoby Myers playing or Brock Bowers, but you still got, I don't know what, what you said. I don't know what the game plan was. You had a whole week to prep for it. Brock Bowers probably not going to play. Maybe you're game planning for Jacoby Myers to play, but at the end of the day, he didn't. But, you still have Ashton Genty. He should have been getting fed the ball.
You still have your team. Regardless of if
Right.
it's your star players or not, you still have your men on the field. And Geno Smith just doesn't utilize his team either.
I want to ask the question, what did he see out there? What was the game plan? How do you prepare for the Chiefs? Because obviously, the Chiefs are very hard to game plan for, but the fact that they didn't score a single point is
Not even a field goal.
it's. Unless I didn't see the Chiefs defense was actually locking them down, it makes me question a lot of things.
Well, that goes back to the thing you were saying is you can't say that the Chiefs had an amazing game.
Yeah.
The Raiders just had a horrible one.
I would comfortably. I'd agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
100%.
Granted, the Chiefs do have a good defense. Steve Spagnuolo over there, he blitzing. But as a NFL quarterback, you got to recognize those blitzes. You got to know, this division opponent. We know that they blitz third down. We know that they blitz, any chance that they get, especially against their O-line that isn't that good. But yeah, I just really don't understand what the game plan was.
Yeah. Well, now that we've covered all of our NFL teams, let's get into some college football because it was a pretty interesting weekend. Not for UNLV,
No.
but we'll get into that later.
We had a bunch of ranked matchups, a lot of upsets actually.
I didn't even the first one we're gonna talk about. I did not even think it was possible.
Yeah.
I just sorry to steal it, but Louisville beats Miami. Carson Beck, we were like, oh my goodness, Heisman front runner right here. Bro throws 4 picks, and Louisville gets the biggest upset of the college football season so far, and beats number 2 Miami. Wasn't it at Miami too?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, and then you look at Miami. This is the first time they didn't play a Florida team, and they lost. I was like, what?
Yeah. Then Carson Beck got on the post game, and it seemed that he was like blaming his teammate his tight end over there on the.
It was the out route, right? Because he said he ran the wrong route.
Right. Yeah. He basically wanted to blame him, but yeah. I mean, Miami goes down, and then Vanderbilt. They beat number 10 LSU. Diego Pavia hitting the Heisman pose. He should be up in the voting. I feel like after that game, especially. Alabama beat Tennessee. Yeah, Bama's defense and just being in the Alabama environment is hard to play against. Notre Dame beat USC. Isn't your dad a USC fan?
I'm a USC fan.
Oh,
Bro,
you're a USC fan.
We're both USC. Not my whole family, but half my family. It was 28-24 going into the second half, and USC kind of just fell apart. But.
Right. I mean, UNLV alumni Jaden Mayava, he's holding it down over there at USC, but yeah, they just got real messy towards the end of the third quarter. They called one play where they wanted the wide receiver to throw a ball down the field, and he fumbled it, and then it just went downhill from there.
Mm-hmm.
But BYU beat, BYU beat number 23 Utah. Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, there's only the undefeated teams that lost that were going into that week. Miami, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, Memphis, and of course UNLV. But they would ultimately lose. And now we only have Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia Tech, BYU, and Navy.
Yeah.
Undefeated.
But
Crazy.
before we get into our UNLV football, let's do a quick wrap-up of UNLV athletics. So last Monday and Tuesday, they didn't have anything. But on Wednesday, our men's tennis competed at the 2025 ITA Mountain Region. And our men's tennis championships continued on until today. Yes. What?
Shout out the tennis team.
Yeah, they're doing great. And then on Thursday, our women's soccer lost to Air Force in Colorado 1-3. But our women's volleyball beat New Mexico 3-2. Jada Harris had a career high of 27 kills with 9 digs, 3 service aces, 3 blocks, which were 2 block assists and 1 solo, and 1 assist. Agata Makowska had her 4th double-double of the year behind a combination of a career high 32 assists and a team-tying high of 20 digs. Also a career high. And then on Saturday, it was a busy day for our Rebels football. Men's golf competed at the Fallen Oak Collegiate, and they competed on Sunday, so we'll get there. Women's cross country competed at the Highlander Invitational. Women's volleyball played SDSU and won 3-1. Jada Harris again had another great game with her third 20-plus kill match and second straight with a combination of 22 kills, 4 digs, 2 block assists, and 1 service ace. She also hit a .360 for the match and recorded 24 points for the match. She was named Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week, so good job, Jada. And then our men's soccer beat Air Force 2-0, and juniors Tyler Ware and Kai Merrill scored both of those goals. On Sunday, our men's golf competed, and they tied for 7th with Georgia. Zach Little looks to be the star of the games or of the tournament so far, and they will be continuing in today, Monday. Women's golf, they competed at Jim West Challenge in Texas. They are currently tied for 5th, I believe, with TCU, and they are also continuing into today. Women's soccer lost 0-1 at Colorado College, and our men's basketball played an exhibition game against Washington and lost 62-77. Thomas, I know you had a little bit of insight on that basketball game. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I just wrote a little article for the school newspaper, Scarlet and Gray. Shout out them, but yeah, they just came out flat. We actually had a lot of people from here go up to Seattle and watch that game. But, I mean, they still got time. They had a lot of injuries, but, they got one more game out here. I believe that's next week. And then November 4th is the season opener for basketball here.
And then the game of the weekend was our UNLV football. Before we even get into the game, let me just read a quote from Dan Mullen because I feel like this quote really just summed up the game. So he said, Too many little mistakes. We had some opportunities at different times. We got the stop at the start of the second half and the ball for an opportunity to take the lead. In big games, you have to make those plays to go and do that, and too many mistakes can catch up to us. We've been talking about how we've been finding ways to win, even though we haven't played exceptionally well at times. And today, you make those mistakes against a really good football team, it catches up to you.
Yeah, I agree with him, but at the same time, the run defense was not
Terrible.
even there. Like you had their other running back, Dylan Riley, put up Ashton Genty like numbers. Once again, we've all seen as UNLV fans what Ashton Genty can do.
Yeah.
He's in the NFL now, and
It felt like he was back.
Right.
It was literally like I was watching Ashton Genty 2.0. I mean, the run defense, yes, there was a lot of other things, but one thing Boise State did really well, they got their quarterback out of the pocket on the play action, and then every single time there was either a tight end open or the running back was wide open, and then you just run an inside zone play, and he goes for like 70 yards and a touchdown. It's just the defense just has to be a little bit better.
Well, I think that's the thing is that because we've been winning these games, the mistakes have been kind of overshadowed. But being at the couple games that we've been to, it's hard to ignore that. But people have because we've been winning. And I just think, unfortunately, it was to Boise, but those mistakes were really highlighted this game.
Right. Against a quality opponent in Boise State, you just can't do stuff like that. I believe they had a 4th and 1 start of the second half, and, they don't go for it. And it's like, why? Show confidence in your team, go for it. Obviously, your defense hasn't gotten a stop, and your offense has somewhat kept the same pace as Boise State's offense. But, I mean, they get the bye week this week.
Yeah.
And then they look
they
ahead.
They better take that bye week to refresh.
There's a lot of things to go over, I would say. And, we were talking about ranked opponents, and Memphis was kind of one of the teams that we were competing with to get into that, lower half of it. And then after this game, it's like, you look at our schedule. Yeah, we beat a UCLA team. They're doing well now, but there were serious questions on what they were going to do back at the start of the season. But I would honestly say defense has to be the point of emphasis because our offense was fine. Going into halftime, I think we were only down by 4 points.
Yeah.
And then somehow the defense is putting they were kind of sticking with Boise State, and then just in the second half just nothing.
Yeah. I don't know. They have the bye week to refresh. Boise State's first in the Mountain West. San Diego State right behind them. Then Hawaii at 3-1, they're third. And then UNLV, Fresno, Utah State sit at 2-1. Wyoming, San Jose State University, New Mexico, Colorado State 1-2, and then Air Force at 1-4, and then in last place UNR, of course. But yeah.
Well, now that we've gone through our football, let's give Kyle his time to shine. We've got our UNLV hockey expert here. You said you weren't, but you are.
I'll take it.
So on October 17th and 18th, they played GCU. I know you covered both of those games. Game 1, they won 1-0, and then Game 2, they won 2-1. Could you give us a little bit of insight about what you saw at those games?
Yeah, so GCU came into that game, or that series rather. They were undefeated, a GCU team that was kind of rising the ranks a little bit, kind of had momentum on their side, and they played a really physical and tough game. But I liked how the Skating Rebels kind of rallied around their strengths, speed, forecheck, all that stuff. Obviously got in that game 1, obviously got a lucky bounce, scored with I think it was a second in the second period.
Yeah.
And just a one-timer right past the goalie. And then the 18th, kind of a much better game. I think they started out well. I also think physicality was up there. But this team, I mean, it's kind of like, you're looking at the past really 3 years, and obviously they lost against Adrian College in the ACHA championship 2 years ago, and then last year finally won it against Adrian College. And then going into this year, I think there's a lot of high expectations, but I think that this Skating Rebels team, everything given, everyone buys in. I think they can kind of make that repeat.
Right. So you talked you're a ringside reporter. You get to talk to some of the players. How do they carry themselves, and like how does their confidence kind of show on the ice?
Yeah, I mean, talking to these players, everyone just has the same message. You got to buy in, and if you don't buy in, it's you see it on the ice. You see some lines that just kind of just are very physical and they want to get out on the ice. They just want to be there, and it's really good to see, because you want that from a team that just came off this high. And then another point of emphasis that we've noticed is kind of the young guns that these freshmen have been stepping up. I think in the GCU and even the last series against Utah, we had 3 to 4 freshman goal scorers, and it's recruitment wise, they do the right things, and these players, they're early. The message is just buy in, just do your thing, and then it shows out on the ice pretty much.
Yeah, and I think it's important for any team to have that enthusiasm going into these games, but specifically for our Rebel Hockey, because they aren't technically a team.
Yeah, so going more on into that, I mean, that's the main question, because last season the UNLV Skating Rebels did beat the defending national champions at the Division I level in a shootout. But just the bottom line, it takes time. I mean, that's pretty much the bottom line. You already have the buzz, you already have the talks being made, and you look at that game against Denver, and we were on Bleacher Report Open Ice. We even got mentioned like on a popular hockey podcast, even on like some Barstool things.
Yeah,
it was just really like, that was my first year there, like last season. I was a rookie, if you want to say that, and they won their first conference trophy in program history. They obviously won the national championship, got a ring for the first time in program history, and it was kind of like yeah, we beat that Division I defending team. And it kind of just catapulted. We were already like up there, but it just catapulted way up.
Yeah. We noticed that they are celebrating their 20th year as a program. And because they did win the championship last year, what more do you think it'll take for this team to be considered a team?
I mean, I think, obviously time and money are the main two things. Yeah. I mean, at the club level, we've seen it in the past, though. Penn State, now a Division I team. They were an ACHA team at one point. But, I think we are considered, I would say the Skating Rebels are considered a team. You look at all the wins that they've had, you look at all the success that they've had, and even on all three phases, coaching, staff, all that stuff. It's just kind of, I joined this team. I remember watching some time ago, I think my brother, he was doing choir and singing the national anthem for the Skating Rebels opening, and I was like, this team, even watching them was fun. It was a fast-paced environment, and then full circle moment, I had like deja vu most recently this weekend, because another elementary school was singing the national anthem, and I was like, I was doing color for that game.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, I was like, I'm here, I'm covering this team, and it's just a really fun program to be a part of, and it's only up from here, pretty much, I would say.
I think it makes for an awesome story, because kind of similar to the Golden Knights, nobody wanted them in the NHL in 2018, but they go out there and make the Stanley Cup final, ultimately lose to the Capitals. But I mean, hockey in the desert, that's been the main topic, and I hope UNLV can make it to the NCAA.
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell. Obviously, you do have all those things to keep. Obviously, there's just a lot of stuff still need to be done, but I think we're taking the Skating Rebels are taking the correct steps, getting there, and it just, as you said, hockey in the desert. It's gonna take off soon.
Yeah. Well, it seems that you have a very good connection with the team. And I know that the one game that I'd been to, there was a pretty good fan base there. And how do you think UNLV fosters such a strong hockey culture in a desert city?
Yeah, I mean, fans show out every single game, even when, if the opponent's not like to the caliber. But I think really last year we got to see it full on display, because after that Denver win, everything kind of took off. I wouldn't say I saw an increase in fan like exposure or engagement, if you will, but I do think that the fan base, kind of rallies around this team, and it's exciting hockey. Like, obviously it is at the club level, but it's at the highest club level, and it's just even going there as a fan. I've been there as a fan. I've been there for media. I've been there for working with the team, and it's a really good environment. I think the fans, they add something that not a lot of programs have, and I think they're one of the best fan bases in the ACHA, and it just speaks again to your point, Thomas, about hockey in the desert. It's taken off.
Hockey in the desert.
Well, as we begin to wrap up, they play ASU this week.
Yep.
Do you have any predictions on that game? On those games?
I don't have a prediction. I would say, UNLV tends to struggle against ASU for a couple games, but I think it's just up to the guys, and I think right now they're riding a high, 4-0 in ACHA play. I do think it's just going to be a good series, and I can't wait to watch.
Are you going to be covering this?
It's at ASU, so I'm not traveling to ASU.
All right.
I'm here in Vegas.
All right. Well, thank you, Kyle, so much for coming on this episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode. We had a lot of fun this week. Thank you. That was really fun.
Thank you for inviting me. I've seen the work you guys put in. It's finally phenomenal to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, again, thank you guys so much for listening. That is it for us this week. I am your host, Maile Palacios.
And I'm Thomas Gabo. Have a safe week. Yeah.
Have a good week. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.